All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Council Chambers this evening. It's a beautiful day here on Tuesday, October 15th. We just had Thanksgiving this weekend, and just wanted to say it's good to see all the little blessings that we have in our community. All the groups that come together and add that little piece to our community to make it better. So definitely thankful for all the community groups, user groups, and sports groups that make our community better. So I'm very thankful for that. Members of council, there's the agenda before you. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that Town Council adopt the October 15th, 2024 regular council meeting agenda as presented.
Okay. Thank you. Administration, anything to add?
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing to add.
Okay, call the question. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Moving on our agenda is number 3, which is the public input session. This is the time that we allow residents to address council on anything that's not on the current agenda, on any concerns or issues that they see or want to share some information with council. Administration, has anybody registered to speak?
Through Your Worship, no one has registered to speak this evening.
Okay. Thank you. Looking into the gallery, is anybody in the gallery like to speak to council on anything that's not on the current agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to number 4 of our agenda, which is presentations and delegations. Today we have one presentation. Administration? Yes, this is you.
Thank you, Your Worship. On behalf of administration, we've provided just a brief overview of the Alberta Municipalities Award that was presented to CAO Tom Golden. The announcement was made by Alberta Municipalities, I believe, at the end of August. The official award was presented at the Alberta Municipalities Convention at the end of September, and we just wanted an opportunity to share the award with council and the public this evening, and so the award's here in the council chambers, and just an opportunity for follow-up on that important item. Happy to answer any questions, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you very much. I definitely appreciate the work the town manager has done. So, Tom, congratulations on the award. I think in our community, 14 years is a long time. Over the last 14 years, you can see the growth and the expansion of our community. Looking at infrastructure projects, making sure that we have the proper documentation and the studies that are required to support the use of tax dollars to kind of repair roads, replace roads, build amenities. I think that's all happened over the last 14 years under your leadership with the senior leadership team, so definitely appreciate that. Our community is definitely way better off today than it was 14 years ago. Members of council, any comments? Councillor Anderson?
He looks away as soon as I turn on my mic, so he must know I've got something good. Certainly an honor to work alongside our dedicated CAO and Mr. Golden, and I was sort of chuckling to myself as we read through this. With Halloween coming up, I'm reading, Tom Goulden, right? And then you shared Tom Golden, and in the sense of winning the award, I think that Golden certainly fits, though Goulden with the Halloween might fit there as well. But no, certainly an absolute privilege. Reading the lead sheet, I think the part that stands out the most to me is 6 mayors and 47 council members. And at the best of times, we're a group of 7 on council with big opinions and bigger personalities. And I think those numbers really stand out to me in terms of your ability to drive collaboration and cohesion within the teams that you support. And we're certainly grateful as council, but I know our community as well. And this is something that I couldn't be happier to see you be awarded, and I think speaks to not just the longevity in terms of your service to our community, but through some pretty difficult years through COVID and what that looked like in a changing in sort of the municipal structure, and how was that going to look with all of the different precautions and different things were coming into place, and at what level of government, and certainly a lot to manage there. I know it doesn't speak here, but when we look at provincially the longevity of our CAOs, certainly your time with us leads the pack there. And again, we're truly grateful for the steady hand and the leadership that you bring. So well deserved, and thank you for all you do.
Thanks for your comments, Councillor Anderson. Any more comments from members of council? See none. So on behalf of council and our residents, thank you very much for the work that you've done, and congratulations. I think members of council were not all in attendance at the Alberta Municipalities Conference, so at this point in time, I'd like to take an opportunity to have a photo with all members of council with you in front. Thank you. Get that frame from. Okay. Thank you, members of council, for taking the opportunity to have that photo with our CAO. Again, congratulations, Tom. Moving on to number 5 on our agenda is the statutory public hearing. We have nothing scheduled tonight. And remember, there's 3 next meeting, and if I recall, I told you that I'm feeling something, that I might be sick on the 25th. Just letting you know that. Okay, moving on to number 6 is the adoption of council minutes. This is for the RCM of September 23rd. Councilor Pletchko.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council approved the September 23rd, 2024 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you. Members of council, you had the opportunity to read them. Any errors, omissions on those ones that are presented to us? I do not see any either, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay. So just before we go on, are you okay, Councilor Hansard, to continue?
He's trying to get my package into the center of the screen. He's trying to hide over to the side. I don't have any.
Bars. Okay, are you okay to continue?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Move on to number 7 of our agenda is the council boards and committee minutes. They are for the Townsville and Plain Library and the Meridian Housing Foundation of June 26th and August 21st for the library. Okay, Councilor Loynes, please.
Town Council received the council board and committee minutes for information.
Thank you. Members of council, you had the opportunity to read them. Any questions to the council appointees or questions on the minutes that are happening? Councilor Meyer, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to the council rep of the Meridian Housing Foundation. Just turning to page 22 of our council agenda, I see a resolution made by Councillor Stuart Houston regarding engaging Colliers project leaders to complete a business case regarding affordable housing. As it's a much discussed and I think well-established need, I'm just curious if you could let us know what exactly we're going to find out there in this business case that we wouldn't already know.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Loynes.
Thank you, Your Worship. To Councillor Meyer and the rest of council, what we're going to receive from Colliers is an actual complete picture of what the affordable housing is required for the region, not just what we have as our own internal investigations. So the $80,000 will go towards that. We're talking about building the affordable housing project in Spruce Grove, and I know it's been a conversation of having one here in town as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the 2 minutes? Councillor Loynes?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just going back up to the library meeting minutes. I know we had a conversation prior about how we spell counselor for Councillor Palechko.
Yes, that's page 16 of 134, Councillor Fletchko.
Duly noted again. I'll bring that back up one more time.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, so I have a question for Councillor Plechko on page 17 of 134, just inquiring about the Peninsula HR contract.
Sorry, I'm kicked out, but I can answer that question. So we at the library do not have any HR experience on staff at this point in time, and there's been a number of difficult situations that have come up over time, and we've hired these guys to provide a HR. Basically, they will tell us how to run HR and how to avoid the legal side of things. So we'll be able to do new contracts for each of the employees because none of them really have anything there. It's been fairly lax over the last little while. So what it basically will do is give us the ability to pull from them HR policies and be able to implement them within our system. It will also be able to, they will provide legal counsel for us if there is problems arising from anything that we do and to correct anything that's been done over the past.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Hassard.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, further to that, is there any implication for legal responsibility with the town at all, since we have an appointee to that board? Because often the committees look to the town to, for advice and that kind of thing. Do you see any reason why we would be concerned about that affecting the town or our taxpayers?
Councillor Plechko, the answer, I believe the answer is no, because it's an arm's length organization.
Okay.
But they have their own board of directors insurance as well, and they operate separately.
We did reach out to the town HR staff and were suggested that we have our own, so yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? No. Okay. Just wanted to note if Councillor Plechko can relay some messages to the public library and just kind of thank them for setting those hours for the holiday hours. That the library will be closed at 2 p.m. on December 24th and 31st annually. I think that gives the staff the ability to plan their days with their families and loved ones, and also gives our residents the understanding of they know when the library is closed those 2 days instead of having, waiting a week before to figure out what days or what times they're closed. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass that on.
Okay. And then I'll just to Councillor Loynes, just if you can bring back some messages to the Meridian Foundation. Congratulations on their groundbreaking of the Spruce Grove Lodge. That's has been a long time coming. I think the last lodge that was built was, I believe, in how old was I? It was Forest. Yeah, it was in Forest Ridge a long time ago. The addition. And we have not had a lodge built within Stony Plain Spruce Grove since then. And it's good to have that, the ability to have another lodge, especially in Spruce Grove. Spruce Grove only has one lodge at this point in time, so it's a good amenity for all the residents in the tri-municipal areas. Thank you. All right, see no more hands up. Thank you, Councillor Loynes, for the motion. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. All right, moving on to number 8 is our bylaws. Today we're dealing with 2. So the first one's 8.1, bylaw 2694/DMP/24, and this municipal development plan update. And this is for the 3rd reading, because after the 2nd reading we had to submit the updated changes to the EMRB, which they reviewed and then they have sent back comments. Go ahead, administration.
Hi, thank you. I'm here tonight to present the 3rd reading of the 2024 Municipal Development Plan update for Council. So the Municipal Development Plan is the town's framework for future growth. It sets the vision and goals for development and establishes a roadmap for sustainable land management for the next 30 years for the town. So the MDP falls within the municipal planning scale in the town's land use planning framework. And at this scale, the MDP, it provides broad policies to guide development and provide some direction on planning and development in the town. So the purpose of the MDP update this year was with the adoption of the EMRB's Regional Agricultural Master Plan, or the RAMP, all of the member municipalities must update their MDPs by the end of 2024 in order to incorporate the policy direction and guidance on agriculture in the region and to align with the RAMP. And we also included the Town of Stoney Plains Regional Context Statement that was brought to Council in May of 2023. So while our MDP already had a lot of policies on agriculture, we needed to make some minor updates to ensure that it incorporated all of the agricultural policy direction from the ERMB's Regional Agricultural Master Plan. So the changes that administration made to the MDP, we updated some policies to incorporate the RAMP agriculture policies and direction, and it has also been further updated and refined based on council comments from the first and second reading. So these included some grammar errors throughout the document. We went back and reworded some policies to increase the clarity and ease of use based on comments from the first and second reading. And based on comments in the second reading, we went back and changed one picture for council in the document to reflect the current council that is in place right now. So after the second reading, administration submitted the MDP to the EMRB's REF process. That was done July 18th of this year in 2024. The EMRB deemed our application complete August 1st of this year, and then they proceeded to go through their review process. That was from August 1st until the 22nd. They found that our MDP was in alignment with the RAMP and with the regional growth plan, and they recommended approval. And based on this recommendation, from August 22nd through September 19th is the appeal period that all member municipalities have the opportunity to provide comments and an appeal on that decision. No appeals or comments were made by any member municipalities, and the EMRB approved our MDP update on September 19th of this year. So with that, the process for this MDP update, first reading was held in June, public hearing and the second reading was held in July 8th of this year. Again, we submitted to the EMRB REF process in August through kind of September of this year. It was approved, and now administration has brought the final MDP with EMRB approval back to council for their consideration for this third reading this evening. Thank you, and we are available for any questions and comments.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and the updates, and I appreciate hearing that there were no errors in our submission for the REF application, and it was approved by the MRB and the third-party reviewer. Members of council, any questions for clarity and understanding? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to third reading. Councillor Anderson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that Town Council give third reading to bylaw 2694/DNP/24 as amended, a bylaw to adopt the uniquely Stoney Plain Municipal Development Plan 2024.
Thank you. Members of council, there's a motion on the floor. Any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? Okay, see none. Thank you, administration, for updating that and getting our MDP in line with the Regional Agriculture Master Plan, and also make sure that we're also compliant with the Regional Growth Plan as well. So appreciate that. Call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, moving on to 8.2, which is bylaw 2699 RC/24, and it's the 54th Avenue Woodlands Road closure, first reading. Councilor Pletchko.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I'm abstaining on this matter as I have a possible pecuniary interest as an affected landowner. I am leaving the room, and I ask that my abstention be recorded.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll just wait until Councillor Pletchko has left the room. All right, so as Councillor Pletchko has recused himself due to perceived conflicts of interest, he will not be participating in the first reading, the public hearing, second and third reading. So if members of council, if you happen to chat with Councillor Pletchko, he is a resident, so please treat him as a resident and not as a councillor. Members of administration, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm here tonight to present the first reading for bylaw 2699 RC24, the Woodlands Road Closure Bylaw. So administration is proposing to close an unused road right-of-way in the Woodlands neighborhood, to declare that land surplus and transfer the land to 3 adjacent landowners to reduce the risk and liability that the town of Stony Place has, and to simplify the parcel configuration in town. So for some background, in 2023, administration undertook a comprehensive review of the road right-of-ways within the town and identified a number of those that are candidates for closure as they're no longer required for use by the traveling public. For each road right-of-way, an alternate route exists, and all of those road right-of-ways will not be required for future development or for transportation. So many of these road right-of-ways are remnants of old subdivisions, or they're leftover fragments of road right-of-ways that have been deemed unusable due to development patterns and previous land development decisions. So this road, as you can see, it's just north of 54th Avenue and just east of 47th Avenue in town. This road right-of-way in Woodlands was one of those identified as a candidate for closure, and an opportunity has arisen for administration to move forward with the closure of this road right-of-way at this time. So this road closure is an administration-led road closure. And as part of this, a letter was sent to all 4 adjacent landowners on August 22nd, 2024. And this was to inform them of the proposed road closure project and provide them an opportunity to ask any questions and voice any concerns they had regarding this road closure proposal. So the purpose of this road closure, administration is proposing this for a number of reasons. The first is to reduce the town's risk and liability. So a number of these adjacent properties have actually been using parts of this road right-of-way for a number of years as part of their yards. There's fences on them, and this is creating unneeded risk and liability. And we've had to enter into encroachment agreements with these landowners to try and reduce that risk and liability. Also, another reason is to simplify the parcel configuration in town. So this is a road right-of-way, but it doesn't need to be, and it just complicates the parcel configuration to have a bunch of these orphan small pieces of road right-of-way throughout the town. And then third, to reduce staff time and effort to maintain and update the encroachment agreements. So staff have to spend time and effort to draft, get encroachment agreements signed, and maintain them over the years. So this is just to help reduce that, the use of staff resources. So once the road right-of-way has been closed, in order to transfer this town-owned land, council must declare the land, they must declare it surplus and no longer needed for a municipal purpose, and the land's market value must be determined so that a price may be set so the land can be sold or otherwise disposed of. So in order to declare it surplus under the town's land management policy, CAO 059, any town-owned land that is going to be disposed of must be declared surplus by council before it can be disposed of. So administration is proposing to council that it declare this piece of town-owned land a surplus to municipal needs due to the following. So it's currently not being used as a road or alley, and has not been used as a road or alley for many years. There's also no future possibility of this road right-of-way to become a usable road right-of-way. It's very small, it's cut off from all the other roadways, and there's no other alleys that would actually be able to be used with this road right-of-way. And third, again, having this road right-of-way is creating unneeded risk and liability with adjacent landowners using the land and us having to enter into encroachment agreements with those landowners. Also, as part of this, as part of the process, that once this land is declared surplus by council, the land management policy states that the market value for the land being disposed of must be determined in order to inform any negotiations of when we're going to dispose of the land. So administration has gone through and done some research and has determined that this land's market value is negligible, and this is due to a number of factors. The first being that this land area is very small, so the entire parcel is approximately 432 square meters or 0.04 hectares. And this land is bordered by 4 different parcels, and each parcel has a different landowner, so it's a very kind of fragmented parcel of land. Another reason, or another way that administration often determines the market value is the tax assessment on the land, but because this piece of land is a road right-of-way and there is no current tax assessment and roads aren't taxed, there is no tax assessment for this, so this is not, there's no way to determine the land's market value based on tax assessment. And third of all, again, the dimensions of this parcel being approximately 6 meters wide on the north-south section of the parcel and approximately 3 meters wide on the east-west portion means that kind of any independent development of this existing lot is impractical under the town's land use bylaw. There's almost nothing that could actually be built on this if it was an independent parcel. So based on this, this is how administration has come to this conclusion. So once the road is closed, administration is proposing that the parcel will be divided into three areas and then transferred to the adjacent landowners. And in the council package and on the screen, you can see these are the 3 areas that are being proposed. Area 1 would be transferred to 5309, Area 2 would be transferred to 4604, and Area 3 would be transferred to 5308 46th Street. And we try to equally divide up the parcels based on what would make most sense in the lot configurations. So the next steps in this project, so this is the first reading that is going through. The next step would be an advertisement for a public hearing in the fall of 2024. The public hearing would be scheduled for November 11th, 2024 of this year. After that, we have to submit to the Alberta government and Alberta Transportation for their review and approval to close a public road. And then once we have that approval, we would come back to council with the second and third reading, hopefully in spring of 2025, once we have that approval from Alberta Transportation. Thank you, and administration is open for questions and comments.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Appreciate that. Just during the presentation, you mentioned that the public hearing will be on November 11th. Is that a date that is going to be set? Because I don't think the office is open on November 11th.
Through worship of council, that was a typo. It should be November 12th.
Thank you. Members of council, any questions for clarity and understanding? Councilor Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was my first question, so thank you for bringing that forward. I do, just for clarity, and I hesitate to do this, but I think it bears noting. In the presentation, we heard once the road is closed and when the land is being transferred, and I think at this point it's if council moves this forward, that will happen, but it's not sort of a predetermined outcome at this point, that we obviously want to discuss it. We want to hear from the public before a decision is made. And so my ears perked up a few times when I heard when we transfer this land to the landowners, and just want to make sure we acknowledge that for any public that is watching. This isn't a predetermined outcome here. With that being said, can administration clarify, will there be any cost if this moves forward in terms of administration cost for land transfer borne by the town? Is that something that would be borne by the landowners who would potentially be receiving that land? What might that look like?
Go ahead.
Through your worship to Councillor Anderson, in terms of the costs will be borne by the town. Again, this is a town administrative lead-driven initiative here to close the road right-of-way, so that cost would be directly as part of our budget, our operational budget.
Councillor Laurie, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of quick questions. I'm looking first of all on page 121, where we see the original configuration that had Block 2, Lot 3, and Lot 4 running east-west instead of north-south. And then when I look at other documentation, I'm seeing a singular lot. I'm just wanting to get some confirmation. So we do have confirmed, or the current, I guess, plan is that the lots to, I guess that would be the east of where is potentially being closed, that is a single lot. There are no more east-west lots there.
Thank you. If Administration can pull up page 125 onto the screen, please.
Pardon?
No, because I think the lots go this way. It shows it on the diagram. Is it 121? Oh, 121. My apologies. 121, sorry. I was flipping back and forth and I thought it was... That's correct. That's my... Thank you. Yes, and I think I had this flagged as well, because if there's two lots there, you can't close access to the back lot.
Through your worship to Councillor Laurie. So a little bit of back history on this. As you can kind of see, there's what looks to be almost the width of a road right-of-way just to the right of the two lots that are oriented east-west. That there was originally a road right-of-way that several years ago, about almost 10 I think now, that road right-of-way was actually closed and provided to the Meridian Housing Foundation as part of their Whispering Waters Creek. So originally these two lots, Lot 3 and Lot 4, actually, when they were subdivided, actually bordered on that lot. Since that point in time, those two lots have been consolidated by the landowner and represent a single lot today that borders onto 54th Avenue.
Thank you. I appreciate that, but don't we have any updated maps that show that? It's kind of interesting that we're using a outdated diagram for this.
Through your worship, to all of council, I cannot specifically speak to this. Again, this came from the surveyor who would be working with land titles to ensure that this meets whatever requirements land titles has for that. These were the maps that they did provide us. So again, I can't speak specifically to why it shows that, other than it may just be historical record that that information is there. I know there's various different ways of doing consolidations. Perhaps this one was just done by description that indicates they were put together. Again, my apologies for any confusion this might cause, but these are the, I guess, the legal documents from the surveyor.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I'm just, I guess, a little concerned to make sure that we only have one titled lot rather than two. It sounds like we do, but if this is what's on file with the Land Titles Office, then I'm a little concerned on that. I do have a secondary question, though, that I'll ask. You mentioned that these border 4 properties, the other being the Whispering Waters Manor that's there. Wondering if there was any consideration to the provision of any of this area to that 4th property owner in giving them either a wider access road through to what was mentioned, the parking lot, their services, deliveries at the rear of the building, or even additional parking, as we know that the street parking is becoming less and less as we have more density in the area.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the question, through your worship, to Councillor Laurie. Consideration was held by administration in terms of what the current uses are, what the potential uses were, and what the adjacent lands could be used for. Consideration was that on the northern side of the Area A, Area B, and Area C is currently a fence that does bound on the north side a drive aisle that the the Whispering Water Manor has access actually to that parking area. The area was described as a former road right-of-way. So in essence, there's already a drive aisle there. The areas within Area A, B, and C are currently being used as yard space within there. So there's already an existing fence that provides a natural barrier on the north side between the two uses, the residential versus the, I guess, more institutional uses. So that was taken into consideration when this was originally done, and it was determined that these three landowners would be, who are currently using it, would just continue to use it for simplification purposes of this road right-of-way. Again, there's various things and iterations that could be considered, but part of this was just to do the simplest way that we could, that makes the most sense.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to follow up on that question?
Just to follow up on that, thank you, Your Worship. In relation to what you're speaking of then, of having these lots delineated that already includes this additional land that has then been used by the private landowners, have those areas of land been included in the previous assessments for those landowners?
Through your worship to Councillor, I'm not sure, but given that the road right-of-way, my understanding is typically the assessor would not include any road right-of-way as part of their assessed area.
Thank you. And then to install a permanent fence as such as they have, would there not have had to have been any level of permitting or anything that would have required some form of plan to be approved?
Okay, so the fence is on the other side. It was put up by Meridian Foundation on the north side. So I think the property owners on the south side of the road right away did not put up a fence. They've just kind of used the property.
Thank you, Your Worship. That would be on one side, but what about the north-south fence that delineates the two properties?
Oh, the north side is that we actually have a, what is that, an agreement that we signed every few years with the landowner for them to access that property. Administration can provide us, when was the last time that we updated that agreement with the property owner?
Through your worship to Councillor Laurie and to all of council. There is an encroachment agreement with Lot 2A. It was, I forget how far it goes back. Recently, a new landowner did purchase that and inquired with the town to continue that encroachment agreement. I believe that was last year when the administration, I'll say, kind of re-entered or entered into a new encroachment agreement that replicated the old one with the new landowner.
And then if I can just wrap up, Your Worship, thank you. And then so just in summary and for future understanding, so the recommendation is that there is not a significant amount of value for surplus and putting it for sale. However, the proposed distribution of the land would then include it in those three properties, which would then be included as future assessed value.
That is correct.
Through your worship, through Councillor Laurie, or to Councillor, that is correct.
Thank you. Councillor Hansford, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was sitting on Meridian Foundation Board when this whole issue came up about that area, that the two homes in Block 2, the Lot 1A and 2A actually have yards, and they have raised planters. They've been maintaining those yards. I think both of those homes are quite old, maybe built in the 60s or early 70s, and they maintain all the yard right up to the fence that belongs to Meridian Foundation, which is on the north side of that big T area on the map. There is already a big laneway on the north side of that map. It is fully 100% on Meridian Foundation land. They were required to put in a laneway that would wrap their entire building for fire access in the case of emergency. So they used their own land around Forest Ridge Place, which is the two-story development on the north side of the T there. And the laneway is between that building and the T that is shown here. The fence runs along the north side of that T. And from that laneway is the access into the vacant, the parking lot that is located on the right side of the T in this map. So Meridian Foundation, I don't recall if they purchased or if it was a road closure that actually had to be approved through the government, and that became their parking lot. When they built Forest Ridge Place, they needed extra staff parking and volunteer parking because the street simply could not accommodate all the extra people. So it's been a lot of years, and I'm really happy to see administration tackle this and get this area cleaned up. I'm sure it's not the only area in Stony Plain where there are loose ends that have been hanging for decades. There never was a laneway developed along that the top part of that T, neither was there lane area developed coming south, the wider part of that T. And if you extend that T right across the road, there's supposed to be a lane next to the apartment building on the west side over there, and the two vacant lots that have been sitting vacant. They used to have two homes on them. So it was interesting because when the parking lot was there, when it was a road, that road was supposed to provide access to the back lot that is showing here on this map that no longer exists because now that is one large lot. Interestingly, too, that double lot has a very old home. It's commonly known in the area as the Danny Dale House, and it sits right in the middle of both of those lots. So all of this came uncovered when the board was considering what to do about additional parking to accommodate everybody else that needed that when Forest Ridge Place was built. So it's a good thing that the town has tackled cleaning this area up and that there will not be this loose hanging in because time will come when nobody remembers anything. And it's good that this is being taken care of. And I'm happy to see it as things stand right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, Councillor Hansard. And funny that you bring that up, that is Danny Dale's old house. I remember many years as a child cutting the grass there, picking apples and plums in the backyard as well. And I think for those that have been long enough, Danny Dale used to also have a hatchery there as well. So he would raise little chickens as well. And then in his older days, he would actually then transition to doing lilies. So there is a mural over at the Perk Building which shows Danny Dale with all his lilies and different things. So a little bit of history in our community. Thank you. Any other questions, comments for clarity from members of council? Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll ask my questions. So I go back to the conversation that Councillor Laurie or Deputy Mayor asked regarding the double lot that's shown for Block 2. When it comes back for public hearing, that needs to be rectified so that the surveyor has the correct survey, because if that's how it's surveyed and that's how it's in land titles, I can guarantee you that Alberta Transportation will not approve this road closure because you cannot take away access to a lot.
Your Worship, we've just identified here It's just being pulled up on the screen here. So this is actually from land titles. So if you notice here, the green area has been selected, but if you notice, there is a line that actually bisects that. So it is just the way that it's legally shown. It does represent a single title that's known as Plan 5900U, Block 2, Lot 3, comma 4. So it does represent that. So I don't believe it would, it's actually shown properly, despite it being a little bit maybe confusing, but this is actually shown properly based on the information I just pulled from land titles right now, so.
Okay. Okay, so it's one lot, but shown two properties on it.
Through your worship of council, correct. This typically happens when two lots owned by the same landowner that are adjacent are just registered as consolidation via description. And all it is that those two lots are basically merged together without necessarily removing the line. But those two titles are now representing a single titled lot, but the lot line does remain in terms of what you would see on a legal plan.
Okay, so that's just another way of consolidating without actually having to go to subdivision to...
Correct, because if it was done typically by plan of survey, then both lots would be dissolved and a new lot would be formed. But in this case, the two lots were basically kind of merged together under one title.
Okay, thank you. And my other just comment is I just want to thank administration for bringing this forward. I do have some issues regarding that laneway to the west of 47th Street. Because if you look at the overhead, there is the additional laneway that crosses 47th and goes into the property adjacent to it. Looking at the reason and rationale why we're closing this chunk of the proposed road right-of-way, why didn't we close the other side?
Through your worship to all of council, in this case, we did look at that right-of-way as well. My recollection is there are some form of utilities that actually run through there. One of the things that we did look at when we were looking through all the different road right-of-ways that could potentially be closed was the challenges that utilities would pose if we did close them. Again, there's some ways of getting around this, establishing utility right-of-way and whatnot, but they do complicate what in this case is a very simple road closure. When there are utilities present within that road right-of-way, it does make it more challenging. So in this case, we just took this block here to the east side of 47th Street and did not take the other side there, given that fact.
Okay, thank you. And then, so just on behalf of council and the residents, thank you for bringing this forward. If council recalls, this comes out of the town-owned lands policy that we've reviewed quite a few times, and there are a lot of remnants of pieces of land that have kind of been left over for the town in terms of subdivision, road closures, laneways that we do not use. And the commitment from our staff was to deal with it one per year through the surplus land policy. And this is the reason why it's coming back. And then next year there will be another surplus piece of land that'll be coming back, and then so forth until our books are cleaned up. So thank you, administration, for taking this opportunity to bring this forward. Any more questions? Okay, seeing none, Councillor Hansard, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that Town Council give first reading to bylaw 2699 RC 24, a bylaw to close the Woodlands Road right-of-way, and declare the closed right-of-way land as surplus, and schedule a public hearing to be held on November 12th, 2024.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hansard. Members of the council, you had the presentation. We had questions for clear understanding. Any debate on the motion? Councillor Laurie, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Matter of process in the motion here being that we have the bylaw to close the road right-of-way, followed by the declaration for the right-of-way to be labeled as surplus. Are we, from a process perspective, actually able to do them concurrently, or would we have to wait until we had dealt with the actual bylaw to close the road right-of-way? Once that was done, then we could declare the land as surplus. I'm just wondering if it can actually run concurrent.
Okay, so I think that's a good question. So if we're doing 1, 2, and 3, so maybe administration can provide some comment. So if we do 1 and that does not pass, then we don't do 2. Is that correct? Yeah, or can we run both at the same time is what we're talking about. So I'm just figuring out if we can, if the reason why they asked that is if we can do that.
Thank you. I think we have our legislative services that can tell us.
Thank you for the question through the mayor to Councillor Laurie. So the motion is worded as per the way it's worded in the act, that in order to close a road, you need to declare it as surplus in order to do the public hearing. So that's how we have it worded. Should council feel a need to split the motion, we still need both motions together in order to proceed to the public hearing.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that clarity.
I don't think there's an issue of leaving it together.
Your Worship, if maybe just a quick comment on that too, and I think just to be clear, I mean, should council see fit to not, not pass second or third reading at any point in time, that would, mean number 2 would become null and void.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, see none? Okay. I noticed there's on the bylaw to close, I think that needs to be signed off by the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors. So when does the Ministers of Transportation and Economic Corridors get to review this bylaw?
Through your worship to all of council, in the cases of a road closure, it cannot go to second reading until such time that the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors, in this case, would sign it. So in this case, the plan is to hold the public hearing. Once we've held the public hearing, if council gives the blessing to proceed, we would then send the submission to Alberta Transportation Economic Corridors, at which time we would wait until they sign it. Once it gets back to administration, we would then put it on an adjacent meeting for second and third reading.
Okay, thank you. So we just have the date set for the public hearing, but we don't have a date for second and third reading because we have to, if that passes, then we have to wait for the sign off by the minister.
That is correct.
Sounds good. Okay, I think that ends the questions. Thank you, Councillor Hansard, for the motion. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, if we can ask Councillor Pletchko to come back in, please. Welcome back, Councillor Pletchko. And moving on to our agenda is number 9, which is business items. We have nothing scheduled tonight. So moving on to council discussion. We'll start with Councillor Hansard.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I had my mic on from before. On council discussion, I simply wanted to say that it was a privilege to be able to attend ICSC with our Economic Development Department, along with you and Councillor Loynes as well, to try to secure some additional interested parties in development in Stony Plain. So I appreciate the ability to do that. Also, the events that are, we have a lot of things coming up, but I'm glad that the council that was left at home took care of meeting with our Japanese visitors and extending their gracious welcomes as members of council to them. It means a lot when you do step away for town business to know that things are carried on by those who are left at home. And especially to our deputy mayor, who was involved in many activities, even though his family had been through the loss of a loved one. And Mr. Mayor, I think that's all for me tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Hansard. Councillor Pletchko.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Just a question of Range Road 12, and I'm just wondering if it will get a grading before the snow flies. It is very rough and washboardy.
Through your worship to Councillor Pleshko, I'll pass that comment on to our operations team and make sure that they've checked over Range Road 12 prior to any of the seasonal changes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, I just want to add that just besides Range Road 12, there's other gravel road standards within the town of Stony Plain if they can be checked at the same time. I think we do have a schedule of maintenance and what we're doing, so if we're going to take some extra time to review Range Road 12, if we can review the other gravel roads in our community as well. Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I have a couple of things I'd like to note this evening. The first being our Long Service Award recipients, the staff of the town of Stony Plain who have been with us for sort of key milestones over the years. It certainly is the our belief that continuity and consistency pays dividends in the service that's provided to our residents, and I think it speaks volumes about the leadership of the staff in the room and that they provide to our frontline staff. And so certainly feeling gratitude to have witnessed those staff members being recognized, certainly having their direct supervisors in the room, I think is a testament to the team approach that the town of Stony Plain believes in, but is also a testament to our SLT and our leadership team here in the room. And so certainly grateful for the years of service from our staff. Second, we've had the privilege recently to have groundbreaking for the new recreation center. And one of the things that struck me over the last couple of weeks was how much the groundwork of previous councils influences the direction of our municipality. And certainly previous councils had the opportunity to plant some of those seeds, water some of those seeds. Certainly the public input and feedback has been ongoing throughout. And we were fortunate as a council to see that come to fruition, but I think we'd be amiss not to recognize the work of previous councils and moving that forward from our regional recreation planning to our groundbreaking and eventually our grand opening here in the near future. And so I want to express my gratitude for those that have served our community in leadership as members of our council over the years in seeing that project come to fruition. One additional point, and this is just an ask of administration, not really a question here, but went looking for a particular council meeting video on YouTube. And one of the things that I noticed was some of our videos will say Town of Stony Plain, regular council meeting, and others have the date. And so a little bit of an inconsistency, but I found the ones with the date really, really helpful because often you have to click in them to find the date and those sorts of things. So if there's a way when we sort of have our introduction here in Chambers, Town of Stony Plain regular council meeting and the date there, I think it may be helpful to sort of go back and look at some of those things. So just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing those. Councillor Meyer.
Nothing for me this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Loynes.
Thank you, Your Worship. As it was mentioned earlier, it was a great time in Toronto working with our economic development team to help find and better businesses here in town. So that was wonderful. I also want to bring up that on the 26th of this month, we are having The Walking Dead at Heritage Park, and it is open from 10 to 4. It is a free event, but we do ask, if possible, for a donation to our Parkland Food Bank. And that is all for me.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Loynes. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to echo a few, it was my great pleasure to act in your place as Deputy Mayor with our Shikali guests here. It's always one of my favorite times of the year when we have them into our community. And as you mentioned this morning in their farewell breakfast, it's a very short time, but it's a very large impact. And so I was very grateful to have that opportunity, as always, to be involved in that, as well as to represent you as Deputy Mayor at the the groundbreaking for the Meridian Foundation Spruce Grove Lodge. Again, just another great opportunity within our tribe region here to continue to grow and meet the needs of all of our residents. As well, we've got our rec facility groundbreaking, and these are some great things when we hear groundbreaking, groundbreaking, groundbreaking. And kudos to Councillor Anderson for recognizing the councils that have come before us and all the work that it takes to get it to that point, and especially the admin and all the work it takes from the admin teams to get us to that point. There's a lot that goes on to get to that. The groundbreaking is kind of the beginning of the end, I would say, of a project. And it's when the public actually gets to see what happens. But really, that's a result of a significant amount of work behind the scenes, and that's greatly, greatly appreciated. Just a reminder, we do have our Chamber Business Awards tomorrow evening. Again, always a fantastic annual event, an opportunity to celebrate those that provide commerce in our communities. And then I did want to bring up one point. I have already emailed this in to our administrative team, but I want to speak it more for the public. The graffiti vandalism in town is rampant at the current point in time. And I would just strongly, strongly encourage residents that if you do happen to see any graffiti vandalism, number one, report it. Make sure that it gets reported to our staff, make sure that it gets reported to the RCMP if it's on your private property, and make sure that we're documenting that, because they are working on it. And they are trying to understand trends and seeing if they can identify those responsible for it. And number two is please clean it up. The longer the graffiti sits there, the more enticing it is for other people to go ahead and start doing the same thing. It's a proven concept called the broken window effect. And so if graffiti that is placed on private property is cleaned up quick and expeditiously, as well as our public property, it tends to help alleviate that problem a little bit easier, because it doesn't stick around for people to, I'll use the term observe rather than enjoy, because I don't think a majority of people enjoy it. So just from a resident perspective, please help us out with that. You know, in a lot of ways it takes a village. That's one of those things that we certainly need help with. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for bringing that up. And definitely thank you to our staff that when they do receive those concerns about graffiti, they're out there quite in a rapid response, and they do a good job of that. So thank you much to our staff. So I just wanted to ask our administration a question. So on 48th Street and 55th Avenue, I believe. No, was that? Yes, 55th Avenue. There's two detour signs on the corner of that intersection. One is laying down and one is standing up. Can administration provide some commentary if they're still needed, why they're still there, and if they can be removed if it's no longer needed?
Your Worship, I'll have to take that question back. I'm not familiar with the signs exactly. I can provide an update to council what project they're serving, if they are still needed or if they have just been forgotten.
Okay, so it's on Highway 779, and then it's on the intersection of 55th Avenue. Okay, thank you. And then just another comment. Just wanted to say that we just said farewell to our Chicago Exchange, our student exchange that came through. Just wanted to say on behalf of council, a thank you to our homestay families. We hosted over 49 students, and they were homestayed by members of our community in the tri-municipal area. You know, without their dedication and commitment to the homestay program, this program would not be as strong as it is. It's been, I think the program has been in existence for 37 years. So it tells you that longevity of our community, that relationship between Shikawi, and having us understand each other's cultures, share experiences, and make new friends. I think that was one of the biggest things that we saw this morning, was a lot of tears, a lot of hugs. Even though the time was short, the impact was great in our community. It allows our residents to learn and understand about the Japanese culture, the heritage and histories, and allows us to share about our histories and cultures and Thanksgiving, which they do not celebrate. So which is an awesome opportunity to bridge that gap, even though we're worlds apart, one side of the globe to the other side, but having those connections bridges the gap. That seems like they're next door neighbors instead of far apart. So on behalf of council, thank you to our homestay family, all our volunteers, and our partners of Parkland School Division and the Memorial Campus at High School. So thank you. And that's all I have. So we'll move on to number 11, which is closed meeting. So council go to a closed session as to section 21 of FOIP. There's no motions made in closed session except for the motions come out. And if there's any direction after that, there will be a motion in public. Those that wish to be notified of when council gets out of closed session, they're more than welcome to contact our staff and let us know. But if you're in the audience, you can definitely come back in and just stay outside and wait. We will go to closed session, but we're going to take like a 10-minute recess before that. But we're going to pass the motion to go into closed session and then recess and then come back to closed session. Is that clear, Asmud? That's right. Councillor Meyer, please.
To prevent the disclosure of information in accordance with Freedom of Information and Protection Privacy Act.
Okay, and I'm just going to add the time because it's going to be, so if we can say that we go in closed session at 6:20.
6:20, at 6:20, please.
Yeah, so we'll recess and then we'll come to closed session at 6:20. Okay, call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Recessed. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our council meeting. Council was in closed sessions to deal with annexation as per FOIP section 21. There was a conversation there. There was no motions made in camera except for the motion that was made to come out of camera, and that was made by Councillor Hansard at 8:21 p.m. and that was carried 7-0. So ladies and gentlemen, we had a conversation. We had some updates from our legal team and administration, some advice. So we're coming back to deal with item 11.1. Councillor Anderson for the motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that council support the revised notice of proposed annexation from the city of Spruce Grove and that the town manager be directed to enter into an annexation agreement with the city of Spruce Grove.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, I would just very briefly. As the revised notice of annexation considers our priorities of taking reasonable steps to protect and maintain our municipal land base, provide certainty for future development areas, and considers our relationship with our regional partners, I think it's important for us to move forward with the proposed annexation as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Members of council, any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? Okay. Councillor Plechko.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, when I look at this, I don't see access points to and off that road. Is that something that would need to be added to this, or is that something that you're familiar that you just would add?
Okay, that's a good question. That was one of our concerns.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship, and through to Councillor Plechko. I don't believe that would need to be added specifically at this point in time to the motion. Part of the dialogue and the understanding, both myself and our negotiation team would take forward all of the aspects that council has discussed. And again, if we're not comfortable on the agreement negotiation, we would come back to council for clarification or further perspective on priorities.
Okay, thank you.
So just for clarity, we're not limited to what is on this sheet as part of the annexation. We're still going to be able to negotiate a portion of that?
Your Worship, through to Councillor Plechko, yes, that's correct. What is being authorized there is that the town manager, and the town manager as a corporate head, be able to enter and execute an annexation agreements should that agreement align with the direction given by council.
Thank you.
Councillor Hansard.
Mr. Mayor, would you please clarify? Where does that leave us with the efforts that were put forward by our legal counsel? Does everything come to an abrupt halt, or is she still involved and working through these things? Please clarify.
Yeah, so that is the process. So the motion is for the town manager, but it does include our legal counsel, as mentioned by the town manager during his remarks earlier.
Yeah, Your Worship, just to be clear too, again, as the corporate head or the person that would be signing necessarily, that's why the reference is to the town manager, the role, so to speak. And certainly, like anything else, we'll have, in this instance, our legal counsel will be advising all the way along the way as a part of that process of negotiation and ratification.
And may I ask a second question? Does this then allow further negotiation or working through everything with our residents on that road?
Your Worship, again, thanks for the question. The process that we would undertake now will be certainly to, reach out to the landowners, our affected landowners, have some conversations with them. But the majority of this process would be between the town of Stony Plain and the city of Spruce Grove.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay. That's carried. Okay, moving on to our agenda, which is number 12. It comes to adjournment. So again, thank you for members of council for reading your agenda package and coming prepared to have a conversation to figure out what's best for our community. That's always appreciative when everybody brings in their thought processes and their experiences to the table. Administration, thank you for providing the agenda package. It's not easy work, but thank you for bringing those recommendations forward. Okay. With that, we're adjourned.